Good morning, everybody. I'm Nick from Define My Day, and thank you for joining me today. It's Saturday, the day before Easter. We had Good Friday yesterday. It was a little bit different. No big family gathering, and we are used to a big family ordeal with just a ton of people in one house with great ethnic food. And yesterday we had pasta with the four of us. So it was a little bit different. And the people that know how to make the food that I love, I was looking at their Facebook posts with a little bit of jealousy and envy. But we're bringing it back to basics. I mean, we still had a really good time. I hung out with my kids a lot yesterday. We did a lot of packing for our move. We did a lot of stuff. But I wanted to talk about a little bit about setting expectations and overwhelm and kind of that whole thing we've been talking about all week about being overwhelmed. And The other thing I want to talk about is stress. And normally when we talk about stress during this time, it's about last year at least we were talking about people being stressed out and preparing dinner for their families. And even my stress last year in almost destroying Easter dinner myself. So it was this time of year is normally stressful for different reasons. And in last year our message was keep in mind what this is all about, like what it's for from a religious perspective, but also from a perspective of getting together with family and enjoying yourself. A lot of times we get consumed with the preparation and the stress of the moment rather than taking time to appreciate the moment itself. But This year, obviously, a lot different. I think the preparation aspect of it is not stressful, at least not for me right now. And it's all of the other stuff. So, we're going to talk about why stress might actually be good, although right now, not exactly. So, we'll talk about that. I'm not real dressed up because today we are cleaning our basement and packing boxes, and I am shredding paper after we do this. It's going to be like Enron up here pretty soon. Um, but I'll get on to all this to talk about stress pretty soon. Good morning, Jamie in Minnesota. Sunny in Minnesota. Good morning, Kathy. We got a beautiful day outside, but it is cold. It was cold yesterday. I was moving boxes into storage yesterday, freezing my butt off. Freezing my butt off. Oh my goodness, Kathy, I'm going to put you up on the screen here. Stress is an understatement with dealing with banks and the SBA. Isn't that the truth? I've been reading the articles about what's going on there, and these loans. Very few people I know have received any of the Paycheck Protection loans. The EIDL loans went from like potentially up to like $2 million in loans for some businesses, which $2 million for some businesses is like what they need to operate. It seems like a lot to an individual, but businesses need that to keep rolling. And now, like they're saying, like some people are there are reports that they're being capped at $15,000, which is a drop in the bucket for a lot of businesses that are basically told that they can't operate right now. It's just amazing, amazing what's going on right now. They do this. They put it out there. They pass the act and they put the money out there. Obviously, it's not enough money to keep things going from what I'm reading. But the bureaucracy and the policy changes and everything. And I actually think that, this meme of the day, our meme right now, applies to this situation also. But, oh, wait, are we not working? There we go. So this is essential workers trying to process the 35th policy change in the last 3 weeks. And if you can see there, Chris Farley not looking too happy, right? He's freaking stressed out. And this is like that's what's going on with businesses too. In banks. I mean, I understand where the bank's problem is because they're being told to implement this, to do that, and then the policies are changing mid-process. And so now we have to go back and redo it all over again. So as I've been looking into this, I mean, my father's a CPA, so he and I talk about it. He has customers where, many of them are not getting the loans. One of his customers did get the loan. And just in friends that I see going through this, I mean, it's bad. It's bad. And the problem is that a lot of companies might not survive this. Otherwise, healthy companies might not survive this. and then they can't hire back the people. I mean, look, we look at big companies and the huge numbers of people they employ, and we think, well, we got to save them, right? At least that's the traditional thinking. But small businesses, and I don't know the specific number off the top of my head, employ more people than the bigger businesses do, because there's so many small businesses, each hiring or employing 3 people, 10 people, 20 people, 50 people. They all add up to more than these big companies do. And they also are usually run by families, middle class families. They're not like most business owners are not making $1 million a year. Most business owners are making maybe 6 figures and are working a lot of hours. And when you break it down to like a pay per hour, they're not making as much as you think. And they are usually risking their entire lives on this business. And it takes 10, 20, 30 years of hard work to get to a place where you're actually starting to make money comfortably. Um, and so, I know, people don't always have sympathy or empathy for a business owner that, can show, millions in dollars in revenue, but, that's not all coming into their pockets. And a lot of times, um, they're the leader of a gigantic family, and those people that work for them really depend on that business and wouldn't want to go work for anybody else. I mean, you find a good place to work where they treat you well. You don't want to go anywhere else. And unfortunately, this situation is threatening all of that. So it's hard. It is hard. Um, Good morning, Levi. Good morning, Brenda. Good morning. Kathy says I'm still waiting to get my SBA submitted to my or by my bank. Yeah, and that's part of the problem, right? And so there's really no updates. The banks aren't even submitting them yet. There's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of goofy stuff, and all I want to do is be able to pay my employees, right? Right. I mean, nobody's trying to go running with this money. Well, I mean, there may be some people, but a lot of the employees, and I know Kathy, you're a great business owner from what we talked about in the past. Um, you have employees you love. You just want to pay them. You want them to be safe. You want them to be okay. If you're not operating, you want them to be able to come back healthy when you can start operating again. And if you are operating, albeit at a lower pace, you're probably not making the revenues that you used to be able to use to pay them. So yeah, it's hard. Levi says her ex was laid off, worked for a very successful nationwide company, 27 years invested in this company, only place he's worked. Man, that's tough. That is tough. You give, and this is why the working person doesn't trust companies and government and all of that, right? Because we were raised to believe, and now the newer generation doesn't quite believe this, and for good reason. We were raised to believe that if you work 30 years for a corporation, you'll get a retirement, you'll be covered for life. So you're sacrificing that 30, the healthiest 30 working years of your life, to live out the rest of your life in comfort. And a lot of people are realizing that that doesn't happen. And so that's why people aren't loyal to companies. And that's why people have such a what's the it's not it's such a negative view of business and capitalism and everything, because you have so many examples, and maybe not everybody runs their business this way, but you have enough examples where people can point to it and say, look, they are not taking care of their people. Their people are working hard, and then they're just laid off. You know, and I've read stories not about this crisis, but I've read stories about companies that have had to lay off their employees, and it's the most agonizing decision that a good business owner can make. For a bad business owner that doesn't look at the employee as a person, that looks at them as just a number and a pay rate, that person is just, whatever, I got to do what I got to do to save my own butt, right? But I read a story, and I can't remember where it came from, but there was a guy who had a business and he had to lay off 50, 100 employees, whatever it was. And his mission every day. And in fact, he parked in the farthest parking lot, or the farthest parking space in his parking lot every day while everybody was laid off. So he had to walk through that empty parking lot. Man, I'm getting teary eyed just thinking about this. He had to, he made himself walk through that empty parking lot every day so that he would remind himself of all the people that were not currently there, so that like it reinforced his mission to hire them all back when he got his business back, right? That's a beautiful freaking thing. And that's the amount of care that business owners should have for their employees. And does that really happen? In a lot of places, no. In a lot of places, no. And so, yeah. In Levy, yeah, right? He was so loyal, right? Now I understand they might have to do it. It might just be like that business. If they don't lay people off, they might not be here in a month. So they're fighting to survive, right? They're cutting off limbs to survive, to keep the body as a whole, right? I get that, but you know, is that business owner walking through an empty parking lot every day with him making his mission, or her making it her mission to hire those people back? I don't know, but and it maybe doesn't have to be that dramatic, but it's still that important, right? Yep, happens at Brenda's company too. We're just a number, and nobody wants to feel that way, right? Nobody wants to feel that way. And I have a graphic that I saved for tomorrow. I'm not going to talk about it today, but I saved it for tomorrow. It's a little graphic, and it's a spin on that one where like the person is looking down on a plumber, and the mom or dad is talking to the kid in this cartoon like, look, this is why you go to school, so you don't have to be that guy, right? And then the next screen is that, like some response to that, which is generally like basically like most plumbers make more than that person does in their lifetime, right? Plumbers make a lot of money. It's a crappy job a lot of times, but they make a lot of money. Some of the most wealthy people I know are plumbers. And so the point being is that like people do hard jobs, and they don't need to be, they shouldn't be looked down on for doing those jobs. And we're seeing that now, right? You're seeing these employees like the person bagging groceries, or the person at the checkout line in the grocery store, the stock boy. They're essential employees now, right? Right. So we're all relying on those people. And everybody that complains about how much doctors make, look, we can talk about how much insurance companies make, or hospital systems. That's something different. But doctors themselves, right? They make a ton of money. And a lot of times it's for doing stuff that, well, not that hard, right? But here we go. How many people are willing to walk in the door and risk their lives every day? This is what they're getting paid for, right? They're not even really there, and right now they're not getting as paid as much as they normally would, because normally they're doing elective surgeries and things that make them a lot of money, and now they're walking in and just doing the hard work that most people cannot, and that's why they get paid what they get paid. Um, so I think, I hope that this time gives us perspective. Although, looking at some of the Facebook posts from people out there right now, I wonder, because there's still so many people out there that just don't want to get it, and I don't know how that happens. Like, how do we come together to a point where we can have just a little bit of compassion for other people outside of ourselves? I don't know. I don't know. It's been a struggle for me to watch, because I see people making posts, and I'm thinking, man, how cold are you? How cold are you? How are you not understanding what's going on right now? Um, so yesterday, Good Friday, the kids, we gave them off of school, homeschooling. We gave them off, so they played around all day. And Lynn and I have been packing for this move. Right, we're now a week away from this move. It's our big goal. It's been our big goal in our Define My Day books for a year or maybe longer now, right? And so this time right now is definitely stressing us out about our big goal. So, my light is flickering. Hold on one second. It's driving me crazy. It's gonna give me like seizures. Um, so we're stressed out about the move, and the little things we're making up in our minds. Like we're worried about like how the economy might impact the mortgage. We're worried about the movers. What if the movers for the existing owners cancel at the last minute because they're not moving until next week? Even walking into closing, it's crazy what they're talking about with closing. Like we're not even going to be in the same room with anybody. People wear masks and everything's sterilized and like it's like really an event and not a happy event that we would normally anticipate. Like when you buy a house, you're popping champagne, you're celebrating, you're inviting people over. We're not getting any of that. Even like the photo in front of the house with the for sale sign, we're not going to get that either. We're gonna set up a tripod with a timer and do it ourselves. It's going to be weird. It's going to be weird. And so, we're packing yesterday and we're moving stuff into storage so that we can like clean what's in here and try to organize it so we can make this an efficient move. And again, we can't even hire movers. I won't let anybody into the house. So we're not hiring movers. We're going to move it all ourselves. So I'm moving things into storage. And as I'm at the storage unit, the loan officer calls me up and says, "Hey, look, sorry this is last minute, but the bank, the underwriter, because of the economy, because of what's going on right now, they're putting on some really harsh restrictions on mortgages right now. And I just want to let you know, like, this is a hurdle that I think we can overcome, but, just want to let you know and blah, blah, blah." So like he, tells me what all the details of it are and I need to come up with paperwork and all this other stuff. And I'm like, oh my God. Like I yesterday just scheduled our U-Haul, the utilities, like all of the stuff that we needed to do to make the move, thinking that we were beyond all of it. So, I put everything else in storage and I walk back out to the car and I sit in the car and I turn it on and it goes click, 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 click. And I'm like, what? What? And I'm sitting in the car going, this can't be right. Like, no, wait. So I turn it off. I turn it and then I hit it again, the button again, click, 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 click. And then all the things start flashing, battery dead, like battery low, turning off, whatever. And I'm, oh my God. Oh my God. What else is going to happen right now? Right. And so I'm sitting there for a moment thinking the phone call I just got, now this, what am I supposed to be doing? Like, and that's the question I ask. Like, wait a minute, the day just suddenly turned in a significant negative way, right? At least I think so. And so I'm sitting there, and my car won't start, uh, and I got this news, and I'm thinking to myself, I am supposed to take a moment. I am supposed to figure something out here, right? This is something, right? And so I call in. I say, look, the battery's dead. How is that possible? I drove back and forth 2 times to the storage unit without a problem, and now the battery's dead. So, I call her up, and she says, "Okay, I'll be right there." And she arrives in like 15 minutes. But the whole time I'm sitting there thinking, what am I supposed to be learning right now? Like, what am I supposed to be doing? Am I just supposed to take a breath? Is something going to spontaneously come to me? Am I being warned about something? Like, what is this? Right? And so I sat there and nothing came to me. Nothing. I couldn't figure it out other than maybe I just needed to slow down for a minute. And so she got there. I jumped the car. It ran fine. And I told her, I said, look, I'm just going to drive around. Like, you're supposed to like to recharge a battery. And the car hasn't been used in weeks. So to recharge a battery, you're supposed to let it run, and it's supposed to RPMs are supposed to be over like 3,000 or something. So I kept it in I put it on the manual shifter thing, and kept it in second gear, and drove around for a half an hour at 4,000 RPMs, right? And the entire time, just trying to think about what's going on, and also watching the grocery store parking lots. They were jammed. Like I don't get it. But anyway, I get back home, I pull the car in, I turn it off, turn it back on, turns on fine. So maybe it's resolved. I don't know. But so I go back, I get all the documentation the mortgage the bank needs. He responds back, "This is fine. I think we're fine." So we're fine. And then he calls me back again and says, "Hey, another thing that just came up is that the IRS is not processing uh, uh, return, like tax return transcripts." What? So he says, "Yeah." He says, "So we're going to find out more information Monday, but you know, we can't get your tax returns from the IRS right now." And I'm going, "Oh my god!" I'm like, "What? What?" So I tell Lynn this, and she's going, "Oh my god!" And it's like, and I keep thinking, like, whatever happens, happens, and we deal with it, right? I mean, it's like, and this is the thing. Like we were talking about it at dinner with our kids as they're inhaling pasta. We're talking about it with our kids and saying like, look, you know, because my one kid now is all excited. He's been telling his friends we're moving. He's excited, you know, like, and so this means we're not getting the house now. And I said, no, look, what it means is that there's something we need to overcome. And if they can't get our tax return, then it might delay things. We might not be moving next week. We might have to change our schedule. But, um, you know, like it's still, we're still going forward, right? We're still going to go, we're still packing. We're still like, right now, half our house is packed. Um, you know, we're still doing the things that we need to do. We're going to keep moving forward. And I said, boys, I said, you know, this is stuff that comes up. Life happens, right? And there are many people in the world. Like right now, we just need to be thankful for what we have. We have, you know, we're not in the family atmosphere that we want with all the extended family, right? We don't have all, like, this isn't an ideal situation for us, but we're lucky. There are a lot of people out there right now waiting in line for food. I mean, like the food bank line in Pittsburgh is ridiculously long. You know, like we have a roof over our head. We have the opportunity to have a better roof on our head in a better neighborhood, right? Like that, the fact that we even have that opportunity is a blessing. And so if something happens that all of this goes sideways, we still have each other and we still have all of what we have, right? It could be so much worse, and it's not. And we're going to keep moving forward, and we're going to keep doing the things that we need to do right now. And if we have to adjust, we adjust. And that's it. And that's my line every day. And it's been my line with everything. I mean, like, look, as we've gone through things in our lives, you know, whether it was, you know, I don't even want to talk about that. I mean, like, there have been things that we've gone through. And, you know, you look at it and you go, this is not what I want. This is not what I had planned. But we're going to go through this. And so we just keep doing that, right? We just keep moving forward. And it's hard for a lot of people. And if we can help others, then we do that. And if we need to focus on ourselves at a point, then we do that. And we just keep trying to go through that balance and do what we have to do. And it's funny because this morning, I woke up and Lynn was downstairs cleaning the basement, and I went down with her and going through boxes, and we found the box from when we bought this house. It was 2010. We did not have, was it 2010? No, it was 2013, I think. 2013. And we did not have a lot of money. Or not 2013, 2007, 13 years ago, 2007. And so we did not have a lot of money. We barely were able to come up with any kind of deposit or closing costs. And, you know, it wasn't an expensive house at all. In fact, it was a major fixer-upper that's still caused problems between the two of us. But, you know, we found all of that documentation, the original blueprints for the house, communications, us being denied a loan from a bank, you know, like all this stuff that we had. And, you know, I'm looking at it going, you know, like we've gone through this. This house at that time, we couldn't afford. You know, like, so we've been through harder times. We've been through, you know, and we made it through and we kept plugging along. So we bought this place in 2007. You know, we had a business for a couple of years and the downturn happened the next year and we still made our payments. We still did what we needed to do. And that's it. You know, like we kept plugging along and we made it work. And that's, what we do no matter what. And we're in a better position now than we were back then, and thankfully. But things get hard in a relative manner to everybody. And so whether you're the owner of a business, an employee, whether you're making X amount of dollars or X amount less, everybody has problems relative to what they can handle and or can't handle. And everybody experiences that stress, in a similar way. So I think that it all comes back to keeping that mentality of just taking steps forward every day and going through it, while um, while understanding that wherever we are, we do have things to be thankful for, and that comes out in the daily sheets and the daily pages and defines my day. So, like wherever we are, keep moving forward, and and focus on what we have. You know, yeah. One of the beautiful things that have come out of all this, and it's fine, I left that "we're just a number" on there for way too long, Brenda, through that whole thing I was talking about. I feel like that that's a subliminal message to that whole rant. Good morning, Angel. And one of the beautiful things that have come out of all of this is the live music that musicians have been putting on Facebook. Um, like there are these obscure little bands that I haven't heard in so long. Not even little, like Candlebox. I haven't heard since I was, a while ago. I used to listen to them in high school, but the lead singer and his wife were live yesterday on Facebook, and he was on for like a half an hour just talking with his fans and singing songs. And it's this exposure that you wouldn't normally get, and I've seen that from a lot of different bands and musicians, and it's nice. Like it's just nice. You get to see a little bit of personality. It's like this backstage view. The video stinks, the music, like the audio stinks. The music doesn't stink, but the audio stinks. Like they're using a camera on their phone. They're not using like stage audio equipment. But it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So I think if I was going to appreciate anything, it would be that, right? It's just like the little moment that's like nice. So it's pretty cool. Stacy, good morning. Good morning, Rita. Angel, another reason doctors get paid so much in the U.S. is because they have to pay a lot of money in malpractice insurance. Very true, also. Yeah, and you bring up a good point there. So, you know, we all tend to focus on like one aspect of something. Oh, the bottom line number or whatever. And even me in my discussion there, I'm talking about the threat that they face. But there are other realities that a lot of people might not be aware of. One of them being malpractice insurance. Like that's not something I think of at the top of mind, but it all adds up. You're absolutely right. Lori, I had to cut your staff by half to keep going. I was trying to keep everyone on, but could not afford to, being a small business. I can't wait to get back operating so I can hire everyone back. Yeah, and these people that work for you, like you, you care about them, right? If you're a good person, a good business owner, you care about them. You don't want to see anybody hurting. Um, you're more of a family as a smaller business than anything. And yeah, you just it's yeah. So anybody that works for a small business, that that the owner probably cares about you, and if not, then you got to find a new one. And it's funny because when we were hiring, anytime we're hiring, um, a lot of people don't want to go work for a small business because they think there's more security in a larger company. And every time somebody would say that to me in an interview, or that came across, they wouldn't say that, but it came across in the way that they would talk, right? And I always thought to myself, like you don't get it. Like the opportunities, like if you prove your worth in a small business, you are much more likely to be propelled forward, either through more responsibility and more skill building and more opportunity for growth than any, because there's such a culture, and there's so many steps in a corporation that you have to follow. Like most people don't make this position within 7 years. In a small business, you can go from like the bottom of the ladder to operations manager in like months. If you come to a business owner and say, it's like a long-term interview. Like you can come to a business owner and say, "Hey, I have this idea, I have this idea, and I have this idea." If you show value to a business owner like that, they're going to look at you and go, oh, "Whoa." Like opportunity, opportunity. Like small business owners are always looking for opportunity. And if an employee with a small business can show that they can bring more and more value, that will be returned by a good business owner. Absolutely. Because if for me, if I'm looking at like I have all of these things that I have to do, if somebody can take these things off my plate and do them better and bring more revenue into our business, they will get a part of that through their paycheck, right? Like, and then, and what I always try to tell people is that like you're running, like you are your own business, and if you continue to put out value, then people will pay you, compensate you for that value. So, and especially in the small business environment, if you show a small business owner, if you make yourself so invaluable, if you make yourself so valuable to that business that if you were to say, "Hey, if you can't pay me more, I'm sorry, but I might have to go out somewhere else," and they're going to say, "Well, no, you can't because you're way too valuable for us," right? And you don't want to. I mean, having that conversation is probably like the last ditch effort. But if you have that conversation going forward, like if you're so valuable that they can't afford to let you go, then that's great, right? And that's like in a small business, you can be propelled forward and higher so much faster. So anybody that says, there's more stability in a corporation, maybe you're looking at the wrong small business. But if there's more stability in a corporation, I would really disagree. I would really disagree. And to be honest with you, there's not much culture that I've heard from people that work for corporations that I'd want to be involved with. Joining a little late. Well, I'm happy you could be with us. Thank you, Carrie. Angel said, my realtor said that you don't even leave your car for closing. The title agent walks the paperwork back and forth. I would actually like that, Angel. So what they're doing in our situation, we're leaving the boys in the car, and my realtor has offered to sit in the car next to them. And we go into the building that has been sanitized, and the sellers are in one room. We are in another room, and the settlement agent walks back and forth. We have each person gets a brand new pen and all this other stuff. But I would actually be more, I would be more inclined to sit in my car. I have no problem with that. I think the problem is something to do with notaries in Pennsylvania. But I mean, why can't they just watch me sign it in my car? I have no idea. I don't know. Yeah, Lowe's has been packed. Yeah, I drove by Home Depot yesterday just trying to charge my battery, and it was jammed. And same with our grocery store. Stacy says, sounds like you need to pause and don't push moving. Not quite yet. Sounds like your angels are trying to protect you. Pause and go easy. Don't push. If it's meant to be in that moment, it will be. God's delays are not a denial. There's usually an excellent reason for a delay. Hang in there, tad longer. You're being protected. Be grateful for the protection. It will happen in divine timing. Don't for against it. Just my 3 cents. I've had that thought. I've had that thought, Stacy. So that was kind of like that's my thinking. And you know what I think about is like home values. So we agreed to a price on the home before all of this started, and now I'm wondering like if this were to fall through, would it be like would it be protecting us against like being upside down immediately after moving in? Which is not something like I don't want to be like driving a car off the lot like it's immediately worth half the value. I certainly don't want that to be the case with the house. The way we've rationalized that is that like this is the house that we're going to live in for the rest of our lives. We don't need the value. Like it'll come back eventually. But, there's unanticipated things that maybe I can't even comprehend. So that's sort of the mentality, Stacy, that I'm taking is that like I like you know we had conversations like Lynn got incredibly stressed out about this last month, right? Like she couldn't handle like the all the unknowns and things. And my thought through this whole thing was I'm going to take the steps that we're told to take, and whatever happens happens, right? I can do my best to go in the direction that I believe we're supposed to go. And so I will do that. And if something happens that it goes wrong, then, then it's what happened. I did what I could, and I have to be okay with that. And that is a concept that we've talked about in the past that I think maybe we need to bring around again, now that I'm thinking about it, because that's the way we need to handle everything, right? It's it's when we don't do our best and the results suck, and then we think to our then we have like regret and upset, and then we start getting upset at other people around us. Well, why didn't you do this? Or it's your fault to do this. Like, we need to take all of the ownership on ourselves and say, like, I did my best here and it still went wrong, but I have to be satisfied with the effort that I made, right? And that's been my mentality through this whole thing. I'm going to do the best I can. This is my goal, right? Like, this has been in my book for a year. This is my goal. I'm going to do my best to get it done. Will I be sad if it doesn't happen the way I want it to? Absolutely. The way I envisioned? Absolutely. But I did all that was in my power. Now, as it comes up again, right? So that I can avoid anything that maybe popped up that I didn't anticipate. Maybe I need to work harder. Maybe I do need to do more. Maybe this just wasn't the right timing for us. Like, whatever, like, those are kind of the things that you have to think about. In your job, in parenting kids, in dealing with relatives, like, it's all that I did my best. So even in relationships, you have a bad relationship. If you can honestly say, I did my best, I operated in alignment with my values, and it still didn't work out okay, then at least you have that satisfaction, knowing that you did everything you could, right? And that's something that we need to keep in mind as we're doing anything, right? Angel says our Lowe's had to close down several departments so they are less busy than they were. Can no longer get things for planting gardens. And now is the best time to be doing that, right? My brother had like a ton of dirt dropped off in his driveway last week, or mulch, and that's actually something that I was going to look forward to doing myself in the new place, because there's a lot of landscaping that I want to do, and I figured, what better time? It's going to be nice. I need outdoor exercise, and if I have a ton of dirt dropped off in the driveway by a dump truck, which I think I can still do, then great. And I will shovel dirt, literally shovel dirt, for a couple of days, and that'll be my daily discipline priority. Whatever I decide to make it. And thank you for the time to do it and the opportunity to do it. Valerie says that's what we say too. No matter what happens with our jobs, we have our health and we have each other. Yep, you have to look at it that way, right? You have to. We've been through all that, like, we've been through pandemics before. And this one isn't the Black Death, and hopefully won't be the Spanish flu. People have survived worse. That doesn't mean this isn't going to be hard. It's hard for a lot of people. But we have to keep pushing through. It's our responsibility to keep pushing through. Levi, at the end of the day, we are covered. Thank you for sharing this. My daughter and I are now in a zero-income household. Things get hard. Don't want to turn spiritual, but we believe that we are still covered. Yeah, right? I get you. I mean, and it's hard not to be spiritual Easter weekend or Passover weekend, right? I mean, like, it's hard not to be spiritual. So I get it. I mean, this isn't like, we try not to mix that into define my day, but at this time of year, it kind of happens. And you have to have something to lean on, right? And so if that's what you lean on, then by certainly do it. And I respect that. And if somebody comes in with something else, then I respect that too. Debbie, good morning. Timing is everything. At times like this, completely out of our control. Yeah, absolutely. And so you deal with it as you need to deal with it moving forward. So, we're going through a lot of our old stuff in our basement today and looking at the old stuff, right? Looking at that old mortgage the letter we kept. I don't know why we kept it. The letter, declining our application for a mortgage for this house. Like we've been through harder stuff, and we made it through, and we're still kicking. So, um, you and your family, you and the family can only control your actions, and when outside forces such as the virus create situations that test our character and strength, all we can do is live our integrity and values. It is clear that you have done everything you can. Thank you. Thank you. And that's and a lot of this, when like the stuff like the IRS transcripts, like geez, I mean that's I don't think there's anything we could do about that, right? But all we can do is put ourselves in a position, and if it delays it, then it delays it, and we just you know keep going. But the tighter restrictions and things that are coming down, we're in a position to handle that, right? If we weren't in a position to handle it, then I would be looking back at what I did over the past year. What can I do this coming year that I didn't do in the past year to better prepare us to purchase a house down the road? Like, so that's and whatever setback you're experiencing doesn't mean that it's the end of the line. It means that we need to look at what we did leading up to this, and it might be what happened a year or two ago. What did we do leading up to this, and what can we do to adjust and keep moving forward? And so it doesn't need to be a wholesale change. We can say, look, I did all of this stuff good. This is the mistake I made. So I need to correct this thing. I need to improve here. Like we can make small adjustments and get a little bit better. All right. So one thing I wanted to talk about. Oh wait, I got to tell you about some awesome thing that just happened yesterday. So Facebook, somebody posted a thing on Facebook, like a little Easter egg photo, and notified us via Facebook that they dropped by our house and egg bombed us. So this woman, who is an awesome woman, and her son drove up to our house, jumped out of their car, and hid Easter eggs all over our front yard. And so we got that notification on Facebook yesterday, and I thought that was amazing. She did that for a few people, and I'm thinking like, even those little things, like I mean, God, it costs like a couple of dollars, and it costs a lot of time and thought. The fact that you even think something up like this is amazing. And so, it's funny because our Ring doorbell yesterday, because of all the wind and things, was constantly alerting us to motion, so we didn't even notice it. So I'm going back through my Ring doorbell, trying to figure out when she was here, and she was here at like 9 a.m., which I can't believe none of us saw her. And they were planting eggs all around the yard. So I have a video of it. But yeah, I mean, it's just the thoughtfulness of some people, and then you're like, and it inspires you to like, wow, what could I be doing right now? Like, what right now is a nice thing that I could be doing, to like this one little thing that she did, which probably took hours for her, so it's not little, but like how can I translate that into something that I can do right now? And just looking for inspiration, I guess. And I guess that also takes me to like the other mindset is that people look for things to be upset about. Like you have you have some people, like I'm looking at it just like wow, that's an awesome thing. Like how could I do something like that? And this is part of the Facebook thing that I'm upset about is you look for the people that are always looking to be upset about things. Like there's a woman there's a woman on my Facebook feed that's constantly complaining about the price of gas because Pennsylvania is still over $2 and other places are like 97 cents. And I'm thinking to myself, you're not driving anywhere anyway, or you shouldn't be. Even if you are, you're probably not driving as much as you did. So you're talking about like a $10 a week savings, maybe, if you're talking about 10 gallons at a dollar each. There are huge things going on right now. Why are you upset about the price of gas? Who cares? I mean, unless you're literally driving every day and you're realizing a gigantic savings, or you should be having a gigantic savings, like, why are you constantly complaining about the price of gas right now? There are bigger things going on. And people just get upset. Like, we have to stop looking at things to flip out about. Really, we do. Um, yeah, I mean, Debbie, it was great, right? I mean, just like it was like that was like a like out of the blue, like crazy nice thing to do, and it was humbling, humbling. All right, um, one more thing. In all of this, Lynn has been dealing with some overwhelm, right? Because there's a lot we need to do. We're still working. We are still packing. Meanwhile, worried about unknowns about things going on. And then even looking forward to like we have to get this house ready to sell after we move out. We have to clean out the storage areas because we have these storage areas now that we have stuff packed into that we're going to need to clear out, and that's like all of the work that we're going to need to be doing, right? And so she's getting overwhelmed by it all. And this is a concept that we've been talking about with time blocking and things. And I think that we need to keep hitting this is that you can't constantly be looking at the amount of stuff you have to do. You can't look at the whole picture. You want to, every so often, look at the whole picture to kind of keep yourself aligned on the purpose. But you have to bring it back down to what do I need to do today? Right? So right now, there is a mess of things that we need to do. But today, we need to do these two things, one thing, five things, right? So look down to the steps right in front of you. Look up to make sure you're on the right path, but look down and make sure you're still taking care of what you need to do, right? I'm trying to I'm trying to make this as succinct as possible, and it's something that I have to work on. But when we look at everything, we look at the entire picture or the amount of stuff, right? This whole bag of stuff, whatever you want to, however you visualize it. We can't keep looking at that, being overwhelmed by it, and having it cause paralysis. It can't paralyze us, right? So we have to say, this is the one thing out of that I'm going to do right now. All right, that's done. This is the next thing I'm going to do. And I'm going to do these things. All right, and then they're done. Okay, now I'm done with those. I'm going to pick this thing and I'm going to do that. All right, now I'm looking at everything I've done. How do I feel about it? Good, right? I feel, like this was worth my time. This probably wasn't. I probably shouldn't do that again. This was worth my time. All right, so now looking back up at the big scope of things I need to do. All right, so this is the direction I want my life to go. This is how I feel I've done so far. Any adjustments I need to make? No, not really. Okay, so let's take this as the next step. Let's do this. This is the next step. Let's do this, right? And so and then you just focus on getting these done, right? And you don't keep looking up at this whole thing, right? You've decided, and this is like weekly milestones, right? You look at these things and you say, okay, these are the things I need to do. I'm not going to look up here anymore, right? I'm just going to look down here at these things. And I'm going to make sure I get these things done, right? And even if other people start coming at me, right? Even if other things are coming at me, I'm going to look at those things through a filter of, do they align with where I want to go? Nope. Okay, they're going up here in this big pile of stuff, and I'm just going to focus on the things that I need to do right now, right? And if we keep that, if we just keep taking steps forward, eventually when you look back at all the things you did, that pile back there starts to look bigger than this pile up here, and that's when you get your sense of accomplishment, you know? And so you want to grow this pile of stuff that has been accomplished. And not focus so much on what's up here. We want to focus on the steps I need to take right here. Now, occasionally, weekly, monthly, we look up, see the things ahead of us, decide maybe now with a little bit more clarity what we want to push aside and say, forget it, I'm not doing that anymore. Or that's nonsense, that's drama, I'm not going to do that anymore. Okay, I got rid of those big things. These are the things that are left. That I can worry about that later, right? Like cleaning out the storage area for us. I can worry about that in July, right? Let's talk about July. All right, so now what do we have to do? We have to do these couple of things. That I can wait on. That is pretty important. I should probably do that next week. Okay, this these couple of things, this is quick. I can get that off the plate real quick. These are things that, yeah, like, okay, that's important. I need to do that. Okay, I'm putting this on my weekly milestones. Let's do this. All right, these are the things I'm going to put this out. This is Monday. This is Tuesday. These are the things left on the list. We'll do those. I'll look back at this on Wednesday and see what happens. And then we take care of that, right? And we don't look at this pile of stuff anymore. We're not looking at this pile of stuff. We're only looking at the things we decided in our weekly milestones we're going to handle. And then we just keep going with those. And then we put them back here when they're done. Right? That's our history, that's our past, that's our accomplishments and our mistakes. That's okay, right? And we keep going forward. And then end of the week, same thing. All right. I did this week. I did well. I didn't do this. I did this. I feel good about this. Okay, let's go. I'm on the right path. Or maybe I'm not on the right path. I need to adjust. With that new insight, let's look at this whole pile of stuff again. All this stuff I need to do. Okay, this I said I wasn't going to look at until July. So let's just forget talking about that. All right, these are the other things. Okay, let's bring this into the week for this week, right? Don't always be looking at this stuff. Don't always be looking at this. Like, you can't. That is where all, like, not all, but a lot of the overwhelm comes from, right? You're looking at too much. Throw it away. Don't throw it away. That's a wrong way to say that. Like, let it be out there. Like, let it, and then maybe that's the best way to say it. Let it be. It's out there. Let it be. Pick what you want to address and hit it. And then all you do is keep your head down and keep working. And then when it's time, you go back and look at it again. All right. All right. And the last thing I want to hit today is stress. We're stressed. This is a concept we talked about last year in relation to preparing to have people here, or, like keeping focus on what's important. Stress is different right now, right? So right now we're stressed about a lot of stuff: finances, health, our relationships, our friends, the health of our family members. I get it, right? And there's a story, and I'm going to summarize it so we don't go too far into it. But it's the lobster, right? Now, a lobster has a hard shell. You're familiar with the hard shell, right? But as a lobster grows, it needs to, obviously it needs to get out of that shell. So as it's growing, inside of its shell, like its meaty parts are growing inside of its shell, and it gets up against the outside or the inside of that outside shell, and it starts to feel stress. It starts to feel confined. It starts to feel like, I can't move anymore, right? And so what the lobster does is it goes and hides under a rock. And under that rock, it busts out of its shell, and this soft, mushy lobster backs out of its shell, and it leaves that shell behind. And that can be a metaphor for your old life, your old whatever, stresses, whatever, right? And now it sits under that rock, kind of like breathing heavy, like, oh, that was a lot of work, right? And it's squishy, unprotected, vulnerable to predators, enemies, insults, right? And it sits under the rock, protected by its rock, right? It's pulled away from everybody. It's not socializing. It's not going out. It's not doing anything, right? It's not partying. It might not even be working, right? Maybe even eating a little bit less. And it's sitting under that rock. And as it's sitting there, it starts developing a new shell. It starts developing a new comfortable home. And it's bigger, right? And it's giving it room to grow. And that shell, once it's hardened, that lobster is going to come back out of the rock. All big and fancy, brand new shell. And it's going to go out doing whatever it needs to do, right? It's newfound health, newfound protection, newfound room to grow. And it goes out into the world, rumbling with other lobsters, eating whatever it wants to eat, maybe finding a girlfriend or a boyfriend, whatever. And they are doing whatever they need to do until it starts to feel that stress again, until it starts to feel that pressure, until it starts to feel the need to grow out of the shell that it created for itself. And so then it's going to go back under a rock, and it's going to bust out of that shell again, and it's going to take a breather, and it's going to be do what it needs to do to take care of itself, self care, and it's going to harden back up again and then go back out into the world ready to grow again. So if you want to translate all of this into where we are now, right? We're under a lot of stress. Humans grow from stress, right? We can't avoid stress. When we avoid stress, if the lobster were to avoid stress, the lobster would die. It would get stuck in that shell and it would die. We need to grow from our stress the same way a lobster grows from its stress, right? Sometimes we need to protect ourselves. Sometimes we need to hide in self care. Sometimes we need to back away from relationships. Sometimes we just need to focus on keeping ourselves healthy. Always moving forward, but focusing on the things that we need to do to take care of ourselves. And then when we're healthy, when we feel healthy, when we feel confident, when we feel like we can take on the world, we stronger go back out into the world and do what we need to do. Now, it might not need to be that exaggerated or that defined, right? But it illustrates the need for protecting ourselves. At times we need to be protected and taking care of ourselves, while also using stress as a motivator and as something that helps us identify what we need to be doing, right? A lot of us get into this habit of looking at stress and saying, well, I need to get away from that and go do something that's easier. That's not always the healthy thing to do. Sometimes the easiest way to get over stress is to go through stress. Like stress tells us what we need to be doing a lot of times. Unnecessary stress, not necessarily the case. But a lot of times it pinpoints what we need to be doing. So and it just depends on where you're at, right? So if you're the person that's always trying to avoid stress, you're not going to grow in a healthy way that's going to get you to be like where you want to go. You're not going to become that person you want to become because you're constantly avoiding hard things. Now, if you're constantly putting yourself under undue stress and constantly stressing out your body and your mind, that's also damaging. So you got to navigate it. One day you're out attacking the world, partying it up, doing whatever you need to do, beating up other lobsters. And then, another time you maybe got to go back and say, ooh, I need a break. I need to recuperate, right? Be aware of where you are. That's part of the journaling process, right? Analyze where I'm at. What did I do today? What am I proud of? What can I do better tomorrow? What do I need to focus on tomorrow to make sure that I'm staying on my path, right? So, it's kind of an abstract story, but I think it illustrates a couple of different points. So I hope that helped you out. I think about that myself quite a bit. Although it didn't occur to me yesterday when I was going through some stress. So I'll have to maybe try to relate. I was looking more spiritual. I think because of the day, Good Friday, I was looking more spiritual with meaning with what I was going through. But we have different times. Norma, we need more love. I can't agree more. I think that if most people, especially when you go to social media, if you looked at what's out there with a little bit more compassion and empathy, I think that and maybe I look at a lot of people that are putting out a lot of bad stuff, and I'm thinking they probably needed more love at some point in their lives too. I agree. Debbie said she should be in. We're talking about the gas. She should be in California. Our gas price was $3.99 last week. It has dropped very recently, but we haven't seen $2 in ages. We haven't either. We've been at $3 for a long time. Not $3.99, thank gosh. But yeah, I know. I keep a 50,000-foot view, but put it on a shelf and focus on my life journey for the next hour, day, week, and so on. It's absolutely necessary to look at the long term. Yeah, you have to look at the long term. You just can't stay focused on the long term. You have to be present. Like you can't be too. There's another concept of being like forward thinking, backward thinking, and like if you're too much in either place, if you're not present, it's unhealthy. So you got to you have to be aware of the past. You have to be aware of the future. You can't always be both, like in both. Like, you got to be present in the moment, right? So there's different ways of looking at all of this. And then Debbie continued, while focusing on the present time with grace and the needed grit to make it through whatever difficulties we were facing. Absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, well, I appreciate everybody that was with me today. Thank you very much. I look forward to these every day. I'm sorry I wasn't here yesterday, but we decided to take a holiday and just enjoy the day together. I will be here tomorrow. So Easter Sunday morning, I will be here, 10 o'clock, and we'll talk more. In fact, I actually think I may take it to the Defined Life page. So we'll go facebook.com/defined life. That's more my personal page, because it being Easter, I don't want to put too much of any religious stuff into the Define My Day page. So we're gonna put it on my personal page. It's Nick Boris if you find me on Facebook, but I'll post a link also. So I'll be here 10 o'clock Sunday morning, Easter Sunday, and we'll talk about a couple things. I have a couple of things that I want to discuss, but we'll try to keep it light. It's supposed to be a holiday. It's supposed to be a good day for people. So we'll talk 10 o'clock on Easter. Frederick says people are too busy stressing over things they have no control over instead of focusing what they can control. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And that's part of it. Deciding like what right now can I be doing? If the answer is nothing, we have to learn to let that go, right? Yeah, focusing on what we can control makes sense. Love that. Absolutely. I totally agree. All right, everybody. It is 11:01, and I'm going to get off to cleaning and shredding documents and all sorts of fun stuff here. I hope you have a great weekend. I hope that this was valuable to you. Please let me know what you think. Leave in your comments if there's anything you'd like to discuss in the future. Check us out on YouTube. It's youtube.com/definedlife. You can find all of these videos and more there. Please leave us a positive review. Subscribe if you'd like to see more. Also, really important, the Defining Life podcast on Apple, Google, Spotify. Check us out there. Leave us a 5-star review if you could, please, and subscribe. And I hope for anybody that can't watch these live, you'll check us out on the podcast apps. Take care, everybody. Have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow morning.